Philip Larkin's collections of poetry, most notably The Whitsun Wedding and High Windows, continue to sell in unimaginable numbers even today, much to the envy of contemporary poets in current times. His reputation as a poet has only grown since his death from cancer in 1985 at the age of 63. The Times called him the best British post-war writer in 2008. However, following the publication of Anthony Thwaites' Selected Letters in 1992 and Andrew Motion's official biography, A Writer's Life, in 1993, Larkin's image fell spectacularly from grace. Larkin had kept numerous diaries which were destroyed after his death. But had they survived, undoubtedly an extraordinary dark side would have got revealed. But letters to his friends and mother and some previously unpublished poems have given ample proof of his racism and bigotry. Larkin's reputation went from being that of a grouchy but shining national treasure to that of being an unpleasant man with too many darker sides. Larkin's father was a great admirer of the New Germany of the 1930s. He used to attend pro-Nazi rallies and proudly displayed Nazi regalia in his office. Larkin was no different and asserted, I quote, "I have always been right-wing," unquote. Larkin zealously hated the labor movement, which was followed by rising levels of industrial conflict, student revolt, and the Black Power movement. He complained bitterly that the children of the striking classes were being allowed into universities, and as for their parents, well, they were lower-class bastards. The working class, I quote, could no more stop going on strike now than a laboratory rat with an electrode in his brain can stop jumping on a switch to give itself an orgasm, unquote. Indeed, Larkin's fear and hatred of an insurgent labor movement provoked him to write the following lines. "Prison for strikers, bring back the cat. Kick out the niggers, how about that?" Larkin positively welcomed the mass unemployment of the early 1980s. Indeed, he hoped that the government would abolish unemployment benefit. He was decidedly unhappy about the Black Power movement in the US, putting an end to his enjoyment of jazz music. In 1984, he wrote that he had stopped going to test matches because there were too many black players participating nowadays. I quote, "Too many fucking niggers about," unquote. And the following year, when he did go to the match, he was seen inevitably complaining about, I quote, "those black scum kicking up din on the boundary," and wishing that a squad of South African police could sort them out, unquote. Anthony Thwaites' Selected Letters reflects Larkin's distraught and barren 4-decade relationship with Monica Jones, who was a constant friend and on and off a sexual partner too. All this time, Larkin denied Monica Jones the marriage that she so anxiously looked forward to. Larkin, in fact, had no qualms in betraying her and in indulging in sexual encounters with other women. He believed that marriage was invariably a trap set by females. I quote, "A ring in exchange for some perfunctory sex, and then a lifetime of domestic servitude, and even more appalling, the rearing of children. Unquote. The following lines from one of Larkin's well-known poems echoes his thoughts. He married a woman to stop her getting away. Now she's there all day. And the money he gets for wasting his life on work, she takes as her perk to pay for the kiddie's clobber and the dryer. Another woman for whom Philip Larkin was head over heels was Margaret Thatcher. Ever since Thatcher became the party leader in 1975, Larkin admired her for her looks as much as her policies. I quote, "She has a pretty face, hasn't she?" Unquote. He wrote excitedly in a letter. I quote, "I expect she's pretty tough." Unquote. Surprisingly, Thatcher was fond of Larkin's poetry and offered him the laureateship on the death of Benjamin. Even when Philip Larkin declined, Margaret Thatcher was very understanding. And a few years later, just before his death, she arranged for him to be made a companion of honor, although he proved too ill to attend the investiture. It may come as a shock to many that Larkin was deep into pornography and was an amateur composer of sadomasochistic reveries, which he often shared with his friends Robert Conquest and Kingsley Amis. Larkin used to say, I quote, "I have no enemies, but my friends don't like me." Unquote. Larkin's first biography, written by his young friend Andrew Motion, voluminously catalogued the latter's faults and vices. Without denying the poet's genius, Motion painted Larkin as a porn-addicted, alcoholic, sexist, racist reactionary. The book also documents, to general astonishment, that Larkin, who presented himself as a hopeless bungler in romance, had for years simultaneously bedded 3 women. A poet who had a way with words and who ruled the hearts of poetry lovers throughout his life, had a dark side that raises questions about his intellectual ideology and his humanism.